Merry Christmas, YouTube, and Happy New Year. I am back. It's been a little while. I've been building up some stuff I've been completing, and I've actually gone over. I kind of like to do 5 items per video just because of space constraints on my phone, as you know. So I've already gone a couple over that, so I'm going to keep it to 5 on this round, and then I'm into my next one already. But this session is very book heavy, and we will just dive right into these good reads. First one, I've been excited for this because he's such a cool Star Wars character. The new Thrawn series called Ascendancy, and this is book 1 called Chaos Rising. This, my whole Star Wars expanded universe started back in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, when I took Timothy Zahn's first Thrawn book of the trilogy back then called Heir to the Force. And Grand Admiral Thrawn was introduced to it, and I was all week long. It was like, I should be out in the sun. I'm reading this book, right? I got hooked on it, and it's what set off this whole Star Wars journey, expanded universe wise. And this is just a cool addition because this goes into his past and shows how he got to where he was in that series, and also throughout the Rebels series and stuff like that. So Thrawn is his the Chiss homeworld of I can't even say the name of the city. It gets attacked suddenly, which never happens, and these people are fought off really quick and destroyed though. And but the Chiss are like who the hell was that? Why did they do this? So they bring in Thrawn, who is a subject of controversy because of his tactics and his past, to investigate this. And soon after, they find this derelict spaceship that where murder was kind of evident on it. So then Thrawn pieces together in his logical way, in his brilliant methods that nobody can really understand, piece by piece, event by event, trace back to who perpetrated the act on this ship and who was covering up the attack on the Chiss homeworld, distracting from what happened on this ship. So he traces all of the sequence of events back to who actually performed the crime and who's working against the Chiss, and he takes them to task. And while the book is going on, there's all these flashbacks to when he was first coming up in the military ranks. And the Chiss are ruled by 9 ruling families, the most influential families of the Chiss. But there's tons of other families as well. They're just not at that level. So Thrawn was born to one of those lower families, and but through his performance during training and stuff for a military career, he turned heads and he was adopted into the Myth family. So that's why his name is Myth Thrawn Nerado or whatever it is, which in the middle part they all go by their middle part as their short names, and that is where they get Thrawn. So it goes back and shows first how he was adopted into the Myth family, and then a number of incidents along the way that kind of brought him to where he was today. Mistakes he made, successes he had, lessons he learned, and they kind of all tie into the decisions he's making in the current at this time on this mission to find these people that attack the Chiss homeworld and stuff. And it all ends in a pretty cool little sneaky way of operating, trap, whatever you want to call it. So there's 2 more books coming. It's another trilogy, so I can't wait to see where things pick up in this next one. Next up, the 4th and final book in the Magic Misfits series, which is written by Neil Patrick Harris, Neil Poonhandler from Harold and Kumar, called The Fourth Suit. So, like I said, the final book. There's 1 book for each suit of cards in a deck. And in this one, it starts off, Ridley is kind of the main character telling the story in this one, who is the young redheaded girl in a wheelchair, one of the Magic Misfits. She's going off to some sort of inventor's fair at the local college and is all excited to enter her project and hoping to win it. But when she gets there, suddenly the librarian from their public school that they go to is there at the event watching, and suddenly she gets up and picks up a shovel from one of the other projects and smashes Ridley's invention to bits. And the whole time she's saying, like, what have I done? What have I done? Right? She seems kind of not quite herself. So Ridley's distraught. She goes back home. She contacts her friends, the Magic Misfits, who, after Callaghan blew up the magic shop and laid out his plans and told the Magic Misfits, you better stop hanging out or whatever, He wanted to separate them and stuff. They've done that for the most part. But Ridley's like, guys, we need to band together. He wants to keep us separate and keep us weak. Together we're strong. We got to face this head on. She says, look what happened. Like, something's not right here. And then the other magic misfits are like, yeah, I was out at the grocery store and the clerk just dropped our groceries all over, and he was saying the same thing. What have I done? What have I done? And then it turns out everybody had some sort of instance with a person that seemed almost hypnotized or something, right? So they go about looking into this and meeting in secret, and trying to figure out what's going on. They use disguises and stuff. And then soon enough, they find out that Carter's Uncle Sly, which is where the whole story began in the first book, is back in town and looking for Carter and seemingly want to make amends. But none of them trust him. And as events move along, they eventually confront Callaghan and really concocts this magic trick she was working on. She uses it as a centerpiece in trying to get some information out of a guy that works at the hotel that is kind of their only link to what's going on with Callaghan. And they pull off this brilliant plan, only to be confronted by Callaghan in the end, and he drops this big kind of bomb on them about what his true identity is, and other aspects of how he's been pulling off all these schemes against the magic misfits, and yeah, they have to battle him in the end and try and come away victorious and beat their arch nemesis. Really cool, fun-loving book series. I really like how, I know Neil Patrick Harris is a magic guy, right? So I really like kind of the tone of the book and the magic tricks that he explains every few chapters or whatever. It's a really fun take on a young reader's book, and really different with that kind of stuff included. I thought it was a pretty neat series. Next up, a new series of Star Wars books, a new project with tons of stuff that's coming out, called Star Wars: The High Republic. This particular book is called The Light of the Jedi. So the High Republic apparently was in effect about 200 years before the events of the prequel trilogy. That's when this book takes place. I don't know how long the span was of the High Republic, but it was the Old Republic before that, which is about 800 years before this. So like 1,000 years before the events of the prequel trilogy. So in this one, this is kind of ground zero for the whole High Republic series that's coming out, and the main event at the start of it is there's this ship. Like in this time, the Outer Rim planets and stuff like that hyperspace lanes weren't mapped yet. It was still fairly new technology. So there was lots of danger out there and not a lot of policing, and it was kind of a free-for-all out there. So the Chancellor of the Republic at the time, Lena So, had this grand idea of bringing the Outer Rim into the fold with Coruscant and the Inner Rim, making it accessible, making communications great, just making it a whole comfy, cozy, everybody gets along galaxy. And her plan was going along fine until one day, the Legacy Run, a ship carrying people from Coruscant or somewhere in the deep core out to the Outer Rim to start new lives on different planets. It's going through hyperspace and encounters some sort of anomaly, which seemingly cannot happen. And in an effort to avoid this anomaly, the ship, there's too much stress on it, it breaks apart. And then suddenly in the Hetzel system, all these pieces of ship come out of hyperspace and are streaming towards the planet. And it's kind of like the dinosaurs, right? If one of these things hits the planet, it's going to create a big dust cloud and kill all life and destroy millions and kill millions and destroy the planet and that sort of thing, right? So it just so happens there's some Jedi in the vicinity, because one of Lena So's big plans is called Starlight Beacon, which is a big space station that was going to be stationed in the Outer Rim that was going to act as medical facilities. There's going to be a temple for the Jedi there with a Jedi presence. It was going to be a big communications relay to improve communications between the Outer and Inner Rim planets, among many other things that was just going to help speed this expansion along. So there was some Jedi out checking that out. So they were able to get in the system and start determining how to stop these flaming chunks of debris from coming down. And they didn't know what it was. These things were moving so fast. But then eventually, through the Jedi instincts, they found out there's people inside those things, or some of them anyway. Like, that's a ship. So then, so it's just this scramble to stop all this disaster from happening. But in the meantime, there's a pirate group called the Nihil, led by 3 different kind of warriors that each have their own individual following, but they all work together as the Nihil. And then it's kind of looked over by this guy called the Seer, or the Eye of something, and his name is Marchion Rowe, and he has this way of mapping hyperspace routes, but they're not hyperspace routes. They're jumps that go crosswise to hyperspace routes, and that was actually a Nihil ship that the Legacy run hit that caused all this obliteration. So, but now with this event happening, Lena So cuts off hyperspace travel in the Outer Rim, and to make sure that nothing like this happens again until they figure out what's going on. So the Nihil are like, we got free reign in the Outer Rim. So they start attacking planets, doing ransom stuff, and the Jedi are like, oh ho ho. So then it becomes this big kind of strategic give and take between this pirate group and the Jedi as they each become familiar with each other and try and guess their tactics and stuff like that. So it all kind of ends with the Nihil's seeming defeat at the hands of the Jedi, but there's big casualties on both sides. But as we all know, if these books are continuing, the Nihil aren't completely wiped out. Great book. A cool new era. I love it when they introduce new things to Star Wars just to kind of get fill out the whole timeline, right? Like just keep feeding me books and shit. I love it. Next up, book 3 of A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, called Mission to Monster Island. In this book, Kelly Ferguson, the main babysitter in this kind of series, is getting excited about the Valentine's dance at school because she wants to ask her crush Victor, or more, she wants him to ask her, but it's not happening, but she's still not giving up hope. And in the meantime, though, one day at school, Kevin, Liz's brother who's been turned into a monster, Kelly finds him at school and she tries to cover for him so he won't get found out, but in the process she breaks some stuff and whatever and ends up getting suspended. So her parents are like, you can't go to the dance, you can't do nothing, you're grounded, no phone, no anything. But she's like, I was supposed to babysit for these people tonight. And they're like, I guess. So she goes off to babysit this set of twins who she's babysit a couple times before. And when she gets there, something's off. They're not acting quite right, both of them, in different kinds of ways. So eventually she's up in the attic where they want her to have a tea party with her. And it's almost like the doll, this new doll they've got, is controlling them or something like that, and influencing them. And when the doll pushes Kelly down the attic stairs and she almost breaks her neck, it's confirmed. It's go time. So there's a big fight with this doll. And in the end, after it's all over, Kelly tracks the doll to this house where this person that's working for the bad monster guys is creating these dolls and stuff like that. And so her and Liz and Kevin track this person to the shore where a big pirate ship with a carnival on it pulls in, and this guy, the leader on it, who is the big bad wolf actually, and is one of the big bogeyman, says, where's my kids? You're supposed to lure them here with the dolls, which was the twins. And she's like, they're not here, so he kills her. But in the meantime, the Babysitters Society has known about Monster Island, which is where this boat is from, for a long time, but they haven't been able to ferret out the location. So Liz and Kevin and Kelly are like, holy shit, that's the big bad guy, and that's the boat that he takes to Monster Island. So Liz and Kevin jump on the ship covertly, and Kelly's like, what are you doing? So they sail off, and Kelly's like, God, you're gonna get caught. So she runs back and talks to the other babysitters and is like, we gotta find Monster Island. Like, what clues do we have? So they piece together the actual location of Monster Island. She sends out an email blast to all babysitters everywhere. We need to mount this mission to rescue Liz and Kevin, to get all the kids back there that are being turned into monsters and put this guy out of his misery once and for all, right? The main babysitter office in London, England picks up on this email and is like, oh, Kelly, you shouldn't have done this. So then she's brought before the council of babysitters, and she pleads her case that a mission needs to be mounted to Monster Island and save everybody, and she's promptly denied. So she's really upset. So when she gets back home, what does she do? Her and her friends decide, we're going solo. So they get to Monster Island. They have to face down all sorts of dangers, including an awesome roller coaster ride, a giant that stands, I don't know, 70, 80, 90, 100 feet high, and all sorts of other stuff. And in the end, well, I'll just let you read it for yourself if you're interested. But a cool, fun-hearted, easy to read series for kids that I love those types of books. They're just so much full of so much fun and magic and adventure and goofiness, and they just fly by the pages. So I really like that series, and I believe there's going to be more to come, but there's no kind of official word on book 4 yet that I can find. So, but we'll see. Hopefully soon enough. Last thing, I finally, after I think probably it can be considered years, completed Lego City Undercover for the Wii U. This is an open world Lego game where you can do missions. There are missions that progress you through the story of the game, but Lego City is just wide open, and there's so many little things to do within the city itself that aren't part of the story missions that you can spend hours and hours and hours wandering around and trying to find everything, right? So the story of it is that Chase McCain, who is the main character here, and you probably won't remember this because I'm not sure if I even reviewed it, but there's actually a prequel to this game on the 3DS called Lego City The Chase Begins or something like that. So it kind of displays events that led up to this game. So the story is that Chase McCain, a police officer in Lego City, he's been off in another assignment for 2 years because he kind of got sent away by the police chief after the events of that game on the 3DS unfolded, and it wasn't necessarily smooth sailing, let's just say. But now he's called back by the new mayor of the Lego City, Mayor Gleason, and is told that Rex Fury, the main bad boy you brought down last time, has escaped jail, and now there's crime waves going on all over the city. There's chaos. You gotta help us stop this guy. You did it once before. Can you do it again? So Chase is like, yeah, no problem. So with a goofy, bumbling partner that he gets named Frank Honey, and the girl that takes care of all the technical stuff at the police station, Ellie Phillips, those are his 2 allies as he's moving along through the story. They keep in contact with him and help him. And people that aren't so excited to see Chase McCain is Natalia, who he has an interest in, and she was a witness during the last Rex Fury incident, but Chase mistakenly gave away her identity during the trial, so she had to go into witness protection, and she's not his biggest fan at this point. And then also the current police chief, Marion Dunby, who was the one who sent Chase away, who doesn't like Chase. He's got a battle against his views and stuff like that. So yeah, so you just battle through the story mode. I'm not sure how many levels there are in total. It's not as many as it feels like because it just takes so long to play through the whole game that most of it's just wandering around in the hub trying to find everything, right? There's gold bricks, character studs, vehicle studs, red bricks, the standard Lego stuff. But in this game, there is tons of them, not like other Lego games. Gold bricks alone, there's 450 of them. There's over 200 characters to collect. Maybe 100, no, not quite 100 vehicles, maybe 60 or something like that. 40 red bricks. Like, it's just a pile and pile and pile of stuff you got to collect in this game. So literally I was playing this for years because I kind of did it in little, I'd always have stretches in between where I didn't play it because I've got so many other games to play, and I find it's, until I got up towards the end, it wasn't a game that I could really play every day sort of thing. But really good game. I really enjoyed it. Part of that was due to the long load times, really bad load times. And I just find I'm kind of wasting my time with that. So I would always just play it one day, leave it for a few days, and then play it again, sort of thing. But really fun game. And I wasn't able to get 100% because there were some things I just couldn't access. Like there was some either character or gold brick or whatever under the water around the ocean that surrounds Lego City. And from all I can figure out, you're supposed to get the deep diver character that you unlock and go underneath and get it, but I can't get that guy to dive down. So there were some things I could find but couldn't access like that, and then other ones that I just couldn't figure out how to get. So I ended at 98.5% completion. So for how much shit there is in this game, I could settle for that. So yeah. But anyways, that's the 5 things I've been up to lately. I've already got another book on the go, of course. There'll probably be more games falling soon. Another movie we just watched recently, but I'll save all that for the next round. You can just wait with bated breath until that happens. Do it. Peace.